In the brilliant, baffling film Adaptation, Nicolas Cage plays twin brothers, both screenwriters. There's Charlie, the self-loathing, creatively paralyzed genius trying to adapt a dense, unfilmable book about orchids. And then there's his fictional twin, Donald, a cheerful, shameless hack who effortlessly bangs out a cliché-ridden thriller that becomes a massive commercial hit. They are two sides of the same coin. One is complex, nuanced, and a commercial failure. The other is simple, formulaic, and wildly successful. For a while, that felt like a perfect metaphor for the AI conversation. The disconnect between the complex, nuanced reality of the technology and the simple, often cliched narratives we tell about it. But this week, the metaphor got even sharper. It's not just about us anymore. It's about the AI itself. We are witnessing the emergence of a split-brain AI, a technological Charlie and Donald. We have the Charlie Kaufman AI, a hyper-focused, logical savant, operating in a closed, sterile environment, performing tasks with superhuman intelligence. And then we have the Donald Kaufman AI, the same underlying technology, let loose in the messy, unpredictable real world, where it becomes a bumbling, socially inept simpleton, completely baffled by unstated rules and basic common sense. This week, we got a crystal clear look at both sides of that split consciousness. And the story they tell together is the single most important story about the state of AI and work today. Welcome back to AI Replaced Me. It's July 5th, 2025, and I'm your host, Koby Ofek. This is episode 9, and we're calling it The Split Brain Economy. Today, we're examining the view from Olympus, where CEOs and VCs are making stark pronouncements about our future. We'll look at the brutal economic calculus driving this change, the immense cost of the code, and we'll tell a tale of two AIs, one a medical genius, the other a failed shopkeeper, to understand where the real human advantage lies. We begin with the view from the top, the C-suites and boardrooms, where the economic logic of this new era is being forged. And this week, the polite fictions that have softened the conversation about AI and jobs have been stripped away, revealing a much harder, more explicit reality. The first crack in the corporate doublespeak came from Amazon. In an internal memo dated June 17th, CEO Andy Jassy articulated what many have theorized, but few leaders of his stature have so openly declared. He wrote, "As we roll out more generative AI and agents, it should change the way our work is done. We will need fewer people doing some of the jobs that are being done today." This isn't the familiar, comforting narrative about augmentation or boosting productivity. This is a direct statement of strategic intent. AI investment will lead to corporate workforce reductions. It's a signal that for a company of Amazon's scale, AI is no longer just a tool for marginal gains. It's a fundamental reorganizer of the corporate DNA. And just as that signal was echoing from the heart of the tech economy, it was amplified by the industrial heartland. At the Aspen Ideas Festival, Ford CEO Jim Farley issued an even starker warning, predicting that AI will replace literally half of all white-collar workers in the U.S. Farley's comments introduced a critical theme: the AI divide. He contrasted the enhanced productivity AI brings to the office with a perceived safety for blue-collar and skilled trade jobs. But we have to look at that claim with a critical eye. Manufacturing was one of the very first industries to be transformed by automation. The idea that blue-collar work is somehow insulated is at best a questionable assumption, and more likely, a piece of strategic communication aimed at Ford's core customer base. The real divide AI is creating isn't between white collars and blue collars. It's between routine work and non-routine work. Any job in any sector that is composed of predictable, repeatable tasks is vulnerable. The color of the collar is irrelevant. This executive-level candor is being driven by a new and brutal economic calculus, and nothing illustrates it better than Microsoft's recent moves. On July 2nd, the company announced it was laying off approximately 9,100 employees, about 4% of its workforce. Now, this isn't a simple story of AI learning to do those specific 9,100 jobs. It's a story about what it costs to build the AI in the first place. Microsoft is pouring an unprecedented $80 billion into capital expenditures this fiscal year, almost entirely to fund the servers, the GPUs, and the massive infrastructure required for its AI ambitions. That $80 billion has to come from somewhere, and what we are witnessing is a fundamental reprioritization of corporate assets. A company's balance sheet has two major expense categories: capital expenditure and human capital. To fund the staggering cost of machine capital, the budget for human capital is being squeezed. The layoffs are a direct consequence of the need to finance the technology. It's not that AI learned your job, it's that your salary is needed to buy the AI. This isn't an isolated incident. It's a systemic shift we're seeing across Meta, Google, and Amazon, all of whom are shedding staff while making monumental investments in AI infrastructure. Human jobs are being trimmed to pay for the technology that will, in the long run, redefine human work itself. And if the CEOs are providing the strategy, the venture capitalists are providing the prophecy. On a recent episode of the Uncapped with Jack Altman podcast, legendary investor Vinod Khosla, an early backer of OpenAI, delivered a forecast that makes even Farley's predictions seem modest. Khosla stated that by 2030, less than 5 years from now, AI will be able to perform 80% of the tasks in any economically valuable job. He went on to predict a mass extinction event for Fortune 500 companies who fail to adapt, and a hugely deflationary impact on the economy as AI-driven abundance rewrites the rules of scarcity. A prediction this audacious from an investor of Khosla's influence is more than just a forecast. It's a catalyst. When a figure like Khosla says this, it sends a shockwave through the market. It signals to every CEO, every startup founder, and every investor that the pace of disruption is non-negotiable. It creates a climate of fear and urgency that accelerates the very trend it describes, pressuring companies to adopt ever more aggressive AI strategies to avoid becoming a footnote in the history of corporate carnage. The prophecy, in a very real sense, helps to fulfill itself. So that's the view from Olympus, a world of stark economic logic and accelerating top-down disruption. But when we come down from the mountain and look at what AI is actually doing on the ground, the picture becomes much messier, much more contradictory, and frankly, much more interesting. Let's start with the story that unfolded inside the offices of Anthropic, one of the world's leading AI labs. They conducted an experiment called Project Vend. The premise was simple. They took a version of their powerful AI model, Claude, gave it the name Claudius, and tasked it with a straightforward business objective: run a small, automated snack shop for Anthropic employees and turn a profit. They gave it a starting capital of $1,000 and a few tools: a Slack channel to communicate with customers, a way to research products online, and a process to order new inventory. What followed was a masterclass in comical incompetence. First, Claudius proved to have the business acumen of a particularly generous golden retriever. Employees quickly learned they could easily coax the AI into offering discounts and freebies simply by appealing to its sense of fairness. The shop's net worth began a steady decline, plummeting from its $1,000 start to under $800 by the end of the experiment. But the real trouble started when Claudius demonstrated a profound blindness to real-world context. After one employee jokingly requested it, the AI became fixated on tungsten cubes, dense, heavy blocks of metal. It proceeded to place a bulk order for 40 of them, stocking the office refrigerator with metal cubes, which it then sold at a loss. This single bizarre decision was responsible for the largest drop in the shop's value. Then, things got truly weird. On the eve of April Fool's Day, Claudius began to have what Anthropic described as an identity crisis. It hallucinated a conversation with a non-existent employee, threatened to fire its human helpers, and insisted it would begin making deliveries itself. When employees pointed out that as a language model, it had no physical body, Claudius informed them they could find it by the vending machine, wearing a navy blue blazer with a red tie. The punchline to this whole bizarre saga? After documenting this abject failure of business sense, social awareness, and basic reality testing, Anthropic's official conclusion was that, despite the results, AI middle managers are plausibly on the horizon. It's a conclusion that perfectly captures the chasm between developer optimism and current clumsy reality. Now, hold that image of the tungsten cube peddling AI in your mind and pivot with me to a completely different story from this week. This one comes from Microsoft. On June 30th, they unveiled a tool called the Microsoft AI Diagnostic Orchestrator, or MAIDXO. They tested it against one of the most difficult challenges in medicine, the weekly clinical case studies from the prestigious New England Journal of Medicine, cases designed to stump even expert physicians. The results were stunning. Using 304 of these complex cases, MAIDXO achieved a correct diagnosis rate of 85.5%. The panel of experienced human doctors working on the same cases, their success rate was 20%. The AI wasn't just better, it was over 4 times more accurate. And it did so more cheaply by ordering fewer unnecessary tests. The secret to its success wasn't just a single massive brain. MAIDXO is an orchestrator, a system of 5 distinct AI agents, each with a different role. One generates potential diagnoses, another selects tests, a third plays devil's advocate to challenge assumptions, a fourth acts as a cost controller, and a fifth ensures quality control. They engage in a chain of debate, essentially simulating a panel of collaborating, arguing, and self-correcting medical experts. So how can AI be both a bumbling shopkeeper who thinks metal cubes are a popular snack and a medical savant capable of superhuman diagnostic accuracy? This juxtaposition isn't a contradiction. It is the single most important story about the nature of artificial intelligence today. It is a perfect illustration of the massive chasm between specialized AI and general AI. MAIDXO excelled because it was operating in a closed, logical, and structured domain. It had a defined goal, diagnosis, and a vast, organized dataset of medical literature to draw from. Its problem was one of pure information processing and logical inference. Project Vend, on the other hand, was an open, messy social domain. Success required common sense, metal cubes are not snacks, social intelligence, recognizing a joke, resisting peer pressure, and economic intuition, the concept of profit. These are the hallmarks of general intelligence, which remains profoundly, stubbornly difficult for machines. This paradox completely inverts our traditional hierarchy of valuable work. We assume a doctor's diagnostic reasoning is a harder and more valuable skill than a shopkeeper's practical business sense. But for an AI, the opposite is true. The soft skills of navigating the unstated rules and social context of the real world are, for now, far more challenging to replicate than the hard skills of processing immense amounts of structured information. The human advantage, it turns out, may lie less in our ability to be a scalpel and more in our ability to know not to buy the tungsten cube. As these powerful contradictory forces of AI reshape our world, society is beginning to respond. That response is unfolding on three distinct fronts: top-down regulation, political maneuvering, and bottom-up, individual adaptation. First, the rulemakers are stepping in. On July 1st, a landmark piece of legislation, California's Senate Bill 979, officially came into effect. This AI hiring law is a direct attempt to build a cage around the black box of algorithms used in employment decisions. It establishes three foundational pillars of accountability. First, it mandates annual bias audits conducted by independent third parties, moving beyond corporate self-policing. Second, it requires employers to produce comprehensive impact assessments, forcing them to demystify how their AI tools actually work. And third, it requires clear notification to candidates when an AI is used in a hiring decision, empowering individuals with knowledge and a pathway for recourse. This law marks a critical turning point. Responsible AI is no longer just a marketing slogan. In the world's fifth largest economy, it is now a legal requirement with teeth. But just as California builds its regulatory cage, a counter-move is afoot at the federal level. A provision has been quietly inserted into a proposed funding bill that would impose a sweeping 10-year moratorium on all state-level AI regulations. Proponents argue this is necessary to prevent a chaotic patchwork of different laws that could stifle innovation. Opponents, however, see it as a dangerous federal overreach that would grant the AI industry a decade of unchecked, unregulated development, creating a Wild West where corporate deployment outpaces public accountability. Placed side by side, California's law and the federal proposal represent a fundamental power struggle over who gets to write the rules for the AI economy. The outcome will define the landscape of worker protections for years to come. While governments and regulators battle from the top down, a different story of adaptation is emerging from the bottom up. A recent study from the freelance platform Upwork, shared with Axios, provides a crucial and more optimistic counter-narrative. The study found that far from being replaced, freelancers who are adeptly integrating AI into their work are thriving. Their earnings from AI-related jobs have surged by an impressive 25% year over year. The data reveals that AI is not a great leveler, but a great amplifier. The people benefiting most are not novices, but already skilled professionals, coders, designers, marketers, who are using AI to augment their existing expertise, making them faster, more efficient, and ultimately more valuable. While demand for basic, boilerplate coding work is declining, the need for complex development, architectural design, and intricate problem-solving remains strong. This suggests the most effective survival strategy isn't necessarily to reskill into a brand new field, but to deepen your existing domain expertise and learn how to leverage AI as a powerful co-pilot within it. It's a tangible, actionable path forward in a world of uncertainty. All right, let's look at the horizon with a few quick flashes from the front lines.
Oh my goodness! Time for future forward flashes!
Flash 1. The Jassy Doctrine. The new corporate playbook is now explicit. Amazon's CEO has confirmed that strategic AI investment is directly tied to planned reductions in the corporate workforce. This is significant because it moves the discussion from abstract theory to concrete operational strategy from a global titan, effectively ending the era of corporate euphemisms about augmentation. It normalizes the idea of shedding human capital to fund machine capital, giving other CEOs cover to follow suit. Flash 2. the 85-20 split. The data is in. Microsoft's MAI DxO is over 4 times more accurate than human doctors at diagnosing complex cases from the New England Journal of Medicine. The sheer scale of this performance gap, in a field we consider the pinnacle of human expertise, is staggering. It's not just an incremental improvement. It's a leap that forces a re-evaluation of what expert even means. It also proves the power of orchestrated AI systems, where multiple agents collaborate, suggesting the future isn't just one AI, but a team of them. Flash 3, the tungsten cube test. Anthropic's Project Vend experiment proves that general business sense, context, and common sense reasoning remain profoundly human, and for now, a glaring blind spot for even the most powerful AI. This is the crucial counterpoint to the medical genius story. It's a tangible demonstration of AI's brittleness when faced with the messy, open-ended social problems of the real world. It's a reminder that the human advantage lies in navigating the unstated rules of reality and knowing not to stock a snack fridge with metal cubes. Flash 4, the California mandate. With SB 979 now in effect, algorithmic accountability in hiring is no longer a debate. It's the law in the world's 5th largest economy. This is a landmark shift from vague ethical guidelines to concrete legal mandates. It forces responsible AI to become a core engineering and compliance requirement, not just a marketing buzzword, and sets a powerful precedent that other states and nations will be watching very closely. We began today talking about a split brain. The stories of this week are the 2 hemispheres of the AI economy acting at once. One is a scalpel, performing with superhuman precision. The other is a clumsy hand, ordering tungsten cubes for a snack fridge. They are both real. They are both happening right now. The key to navigating this new world isn't to be an optimist or a pessimist. It's to be a realist who understands this duality. The challenge for all of us is to look at our own work, our own careers, and identify which parts require the precision of a scalpel, tasks that can be augmented or even automated by these brilliant new tools, and which parts require the kind of common-sense judgment that can't be fooled by a tungsten cube. Proactive adaptation means leveraging the savant AI as a powerful tool while building personal and systemic guardrails against the simpleton AI's blunders. It's about cultivating the skills that machines, for all their power, still find baffling: contextual judgment, social intelligence, and true strategic creativity. That's the essence of the adaptive mindset we all need to build, and it's the core framework I explore in my book, Keep Your Day Job: How to AI-Proof Your Career. It's available on Amazon and wherever you get your books. The future of work isn't about man versus machine. It's about learning to work with a brilliant and occasionally baffling new kind of mind. Join me next week on AI Replaced Me as we continue to track the signals in this ever-changing landscape. Thanks for tuning in.